You know what I like to do when John Mangini says we have similar taste in collecting? I like to look at some baseball cards. So, with all seriousness, a couple of recent videos, John has been kind enough to comment and has expressed that he thinks we have a very similar taste in the way we collect. Obviously, scope, scale, everything else can be a little bit different, and I think that's one of the fun things of sharing collections through this kind of medium. Is you can find folks in the hobby that you think are pretty similar in their collecting style, and you find those cards that you think are interesting if you've never seen them before, and if it's at your wheelhouse, you can start to do some research, and it's a great way to learn. It's a great way to share, and it's a great way to just kind of build community. So really appreciate John kind of this invitation. I think challenge is very much the wrong word, but an invitation just to kind of share and have some fun back and forth. So one of the first things I think that maybe triggered it was just a item like this. I shared this the other day, the W565 set, and the average comment on this video was never seen it, or why that one's not coming in real well. My Heilmann's actually pretty darn nice if it would just focus. It's the black ink that's giving that one trouble. I don't know. But taking a look at these and saying, I've never seen them. Maybe they've seen the Gehrig. That seemed to be the one that people said maybe they've seen that pop up. And it may just be the fact you search for Lou Gehrig more. People aren't searching as much for Tony Lazzeri along the way. But it's a little subset. There's 4 of them that are baseball in that set. W565 is a little bit bigger than just those, but thought it was kind of fun to see someone else that actually had the whole run. So John, please share yours just so we can see a second full little mini run on YouTube and to share with the community. But I did want to add a few others. I think that's kind of the fun of having some back and forth. So hopefully John can pull those without too much trouble. One of the things he was looking at was the idea of the most attractive eye appeal kind of card in the hobby, and this one does get a ton of attention. He mentioned a couple others. So he showed a Chief Bender. I do not have that Chief Bender, but I have a slightly less beautiful alternative. But to the point, the Caramel Card series back then have some amazing artwork. The other one he showed was a Christy Mathewson, and it's one that is on several different cards. I wish I had one. It's always on my list, but they are, in rough shape. They're still expensive, but I think to that point, that is such a nice looking card. And because you can't buy 3 or 4 of them and get them in different grades, you kind of have to do it once or, maybe twice if you're lucky. But you're probably going to spend a good coin on that. So I'm kind of waiting for the right one. And I don't do that often, but it's such a nice card. What I do have is something that would be in the similar vein. It's still a Caramel Card. It still has the really pretty background. It's a different kind of phase of his pitching motion. So he's kind of in the back step, getting ready. The other one's more of a follow through. So don't quite have the matching versions. The one he mentioned that he picked up, which is just insane, he said he was looking for just the right one, just like I was saying with the Mathewson. And it's the E93 Rube Waddell. And I will say an E93 Rube Waddell and a 3 right back at you. Absolutely love that. I kept watching these. There was 1s and 2s out there for like an unfairly high amount. I don't know why, other than the fact, it's a gorgeous card, so maybe they're just asking premium just because of that, but it was way above what any kind of market or comp would ever say. And as much as I want to pick up a card like that, I had to just kind of wait it out. But that one popped up, and I think that was probably like a below comp asking price, so I did not hesitate. I just went ahead and pulled the trigger and didn't negotiate. I just said it's going to go away too fast if I don't get it. So I've had that for a little bit, some years, I believe, but not 10 or 20. It's still fairly new to me. But in that vein, some other, iconic, gorgeous cards. Some others that I thought were in the running, things like that. I think that set is gorgeous, and that Musial in particular gets a lot of attention. So I don't know where other hobbyists would rank that, if Pee-wee is clearly ahead of that card or not, but I think the Stan is pretty gosh darn good. The other one that I thought, and I think I've seen John show this one somewhat recently, but that Berra Pose, the Bowman Pose, is the more popular common one, but I think when you can figure out a even more, call it rare, call it scarce, whatever, issue with the exact same pose, I think that's even a touch neater. So that's your Drake's 1950. The other two are actually from the same set, and I just showed this. So I think these, and I don't know if it's purely on gorgeous factor, that it's an amazing looking card, if it's just the fact there's hot dogs floating in the air, if that's what's get people, or the fact it's a pretty hard to come by Teddy Williams. And actually, same set. There's another. It's cool when you have these sets that are just so ridiculously well done, and for it to be a hot dog set is even crazier. So I'd put all of those in the running of mass appeal, mass thought. But I'm going to add 5 more. Those I think we all agree are at least in the conversation, and I think they're probably more common thoughts. So I liked the Bender. I liked the Mathewson a lot. I think that one is a fantastic card. And I think the idea of tossing in that Rube Waddell. Rube Waddell is, man, he's like a top 5 character of baseball. So I think having that in the mix is super cool. So I'm going to throw you 5 more. Let's see. Feel free to play along. If you have same card, I'd love to see the condition of it. If you have just a similar set or a different version of, or similar mindset. Obviously, some of these we find that are a little bit scarce, tough to come by. So you might have a higher end premium version or just an alternative option. So anything you got's cool. But the 1960 Morel Meats. I've shown this one at least once or twice, but I just think that is crazy. Such a cool image. It's Koufax, stadium in the background. I think it's super neat. And for it to be a meat issue, it has all the qualities of just a good quality card. So even the back of it is well done. So looks cool. And that's really before he was good. that was still early enough in that he was not necessarily thriving yet in his career. Another one from Caramel era that probably does get a fair amount of attention, but I think this one's always worth mentioning if you're going with best looking cards, and it's not often you toss in a non Hall of Fame candidate, but the E95 Eddie Cicotte. These SGCs are so reflective. It's crazy. There we go. I think we're finally getting it. The colors on it are brilliant. Having the Boston red socks, literally a red sock going across his chest just ties in that red color, I think. And then it's slightly cartoonish, and they kind of color up their faces. But that's a classic. I'll go with this one next. W517, so it's got a perforated edge to it, but I love catcher cards. I love unique cards. Jimmy Fox has his name spelled different ways on different items, so sometimes it's with a Y, sometimes it's an IE, but I just think when you get a player that's not known for being a catcher, he did catch a little bit, but mostly first base, a little bit of third base, some catching was in there, but I just think that pose, that somewhat youthful image at that point still super, super cool. So I would throw that in one of the neater piles. That's one I always recommend if somebody's looking for a cool Jimmy Fox. Put that on the list. Another one, I've seen another collector list that says his favorite card of the decade, and can't ever blame anybody for listing that. Toss in a Walter Johnson. I feel like it's the picture version of the Mathewson. So where Mathewson's a really colorful artistic interpretation, this is, Johnson warming up, about to do that crazy sidearm motion. So, between the hat, just random people in the background, hanging out before the game, it's just such a cool image and cool card. So absolutely love these exhibits from the 20s, a few different years of issue, but the 1921, super, super cool. And then the last one, I don't know, I might actually vote for this one as my favorite looking card, just because it's the artistic aspect of it. I have the 1934 version. There is a 1915, the exact same image, so I already know people know what that is. But Susini? 1915 is not what I have. That's the bigger dollar one. So if you're looking for a lower cost, slightly more populated alternative, you can go with something like this, 1934. So make sure that ends up coming in clear enough to be seen well enough. I think with these PSAs being so see-through, it tries to grab things in the background. But that image, there was some debate if that actually was Tris Speaker. And then the conversation kind of, I guess, was resolved when they found a Type 1 photo that was absolutely Tris Speaker. So this one, actually, the other version, the Susini, is slightly less, I think, wide. Like the panorama angle of it is slightly different. So there's a couple players off in the background, I think, over, where am I at? Over here somewhere. There's a couple of people there. This is really tough to do. They're not included in the other one. The front little batter's box is not included in the other one, so it's a slightly different picture, but effectively same thing. Same batter, same fielders in the background. But for me, this one has to rank really, really high on the list. I think that's just a fantastic, classic card. Talking about the historical baseball picture. So that's what I came up with. I wanted to kind of keep it somewhat thematic, and I think best looking baseball card ever. Throwing out a few that are just kind of the obvious candidates to be discussed, but trying to find 5 that might be maybe under the radar or overlooked or loved but by a smaller group of folks. So John, share away. I really appreciate the support, encouragement, all the kind words on comments, and I think this is a wonderful invitation just to share some stuff and go a little bit back and forth and see how similar our collections really are. So looking forward to your response when you get a shot, and wish everyone a little bit of fun. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks.